Okay, so if you've got this far, great stuff, but this is where it gets really serious, mainly because we're going to be using power tools, which means safety is number one, of course. If you're not confident with using a power tool, then, learn about it. I'm not going to be here to teach you all about working with routers and jigsaws and stuff like that. I'm just not knowledgeable enough about it. I know how to use the tools myself, but I'm not confident enough to actually teach how to use it, unfortunately. But there's plenty of tutorials online on YouTube on how to use it, on how to use these tools, like this one, for example. This very cheap router that you can get on eBay for about 40 quid. If you're in the UK, I'm pretty sure they're similar priced in America and stuff like that. There's this one here. It's just called a Lumberjack PR14. It's a very cheap router. Nothing too special about it, but it does the job perfectly fine. Now, this tool here, I use for cutting pretty much everything to do with this table. You can use a jigsaw, you can, but personally I hate using these tools just because they can slip and slide, and I just don't find them that accurate. I'm sure you can get really good jigsaws that have better guides on them, but this, if you're just looking for building this table really cheaply, you're not going to be going out there and buying expensive tools, I wouldn't have thought, or buying any tools at all. So something like that you'd maybe be looking at, but I don't recommend it. They're just not accurate enough, I don't think. But if you've got a friend that has a router, borrow it off him. I do recommend using a router, a plunge router that is. So this is a router that sits on top and then plunges down into the material that you're going to be cutting. Now again, I'm not an expert when it comes to using these tools. I do recommend you check out some videos, or there is another option, and that is using laser cutting or even a CNC mill. Now what those are, they are, well, they're self-explanatory. A laser cutter, and you normally get laser cutters that cut through metal, but you can tune them to cut through wood. If there's someone local to you, you can maybe go to them and ask them. They'll be able to do it for you. Or if there's a CNC mill need to you, then go for that. But there's a good chance that these people aren't going to be close to you. So, your options probably just going to have to be using these sort of tools. But I do recommend you take your time with it, learn how to use the tool, and just be safe with it, because they can be quite dangerous in the wrong hands. I know I've had a few near misses with especially the router. I've nearly taken my finger off a couple of times over the years when I've been using them. So just take your time, learn about it, and just get clued up. Because all we're really doing when we're cutting this tabletop is we're just going in one straight line. And I'm going to be using a guide with this router. You'll see in just in a second when I show you me cutting it out. There's a guide that just clamps onto the side of the table, and normally supplied with most routers. And I do recommend using that guide because it just makes sure that you're cutting in a straight line, and that's all what you want to be doing. Because otherwise, without that guide, you could, if you're not experienced with these tools, you could end up like jamming against the side of the table and just gouging huge chunks of wood out of the tabletop, and you don't want that. As well as that, it could be jumping out everywhere. And don't make the mistake I did years and years ago when I first got my hands on a router. I didn't really know how to use it back then, and instead of plunging it into the material and locking it in place using a lock, I just kept plunging away when I was moving it, and what basically happened was the whole thing just exploded, and what I was working on, this massive chunk of wood was taken out of it. Don't make that mistake again. Go and learn how to use these tools, be safe with them, and just take your time, and you shouldn't go too far wrong. So that's me done with my first cut. As you can see, the guide does come useful in making these cuts. especially for those of you that maybe have never really used a router before. But again, please guys, just take your time with it. Don't rush it, and you shouldn't go too far wrong. Now this middle piece of wood, you need to keep hold of it because we're going to be using it for the control panel for our joystick, etc. So the last thing I need to do now is clean up.